First item is the approval of the agenda for today. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Next is approval of the minutes from our July 23rd meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. That takes us to our consent agenda. We have 3 items on our consent agenda today. First one is 2019-214, City of Eden Prairie 2040 Comp Plan and Comprehensive Sewer Plan. Second is 2019-218, City of Maplewood 2040 Comp Plan and Sewer Plan. Third is the 2019-219 City of Belle Plaine 2040 Comp Plan and Sewer Plan. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Making progress. On to our non-consent agenda item, 2019-224, Master Utility Agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for Interceptor 9004-1. Tim, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Tim Woodine. I am the Interceptor's Engineering Assistant Manager with Technical Services. I work at the Regional Maintenance Facility in Eagan, and I am here to present to you about business item 2019-224 on the Master Utility Agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for Interceptor 9004-1. This is a project area that we're going to be working in. This is the intersection of Highway 94 and Maple Grove Parkway in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of where we're at, it's very close to the Menards in Maple Grove. Project scope is a cured-in-place lining of the Elm Creek Interceptor at the I-94 crossing. The access at this section requires that we close the I-94 ramps from eastbound 94. So that's both the exit and entrance ramps. We're looking at a rehabilitation of approximately 200 linear feet of 42-inch pipe. Also rehabilitation of 3 manhole structures in this area. The MnDOT agreement that we're proposing will allow the work to be completed while MnDOT is planning to close the affected ramps. Our proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to negotiate and execute a master utility agreement 19I-037 with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for Interceptor 9004-1. At this point in time, if there are any questions.
Questions? So I read the description. I understand what's taking place, but what exactly is a master utility agreement?
So a master utility agreement is a tool that we use with the Minnesota Department of Transportation to allow us to do work in conjunction with a contract that they already have on the line, Mr. Chairman. So the idea is that we have utilities in the area. They are already planning on doing work in the area, and therefore we will add our work to their contract as a part of this agreement.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Question? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, approximately how long does it take for your crew to finish their portion of the work?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, the work that we have scheduled will probably take about 60 days, probably about 40 of which will be impacting the 2 ramps directly. We'll have those 2 ramps closed down for that time.
Thank you.
Other questions? Please.
Thank you, Chair. Is a current material, the current pipe, is that cement, concrete, and then you're doing the fiberglass lining to rehab it, or is it a different material currently?
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, yes, the current pipe itself is a concrete pipe that is deteriorated, and we will be lining it with a PVC style or call it cast in place or cured in place plastic type pipe that we'll be installing in there.
Right, thank you.
Question?
I was going to make a motion if I could.
I think we're ready for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Because I am always happy when we coordinate with other entities and get our projects done, would like to move approval of this item.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That takes us to the information part of our agenda. Karen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee
Welcome.
members. I'm excited here as the sponsor of the intern program for ES. My name is Karen Neese. I'm the Director of Administration, and every year, this time of year, we're really excited to have our interns come and give a little snippet of their projects up here, but also I hope most of you have had a chance to visit them out in the hall. And I know one of the council members came to some of the presentations. Thank you. This summer, our division had 16 and a half. One person had to go back to school a little earlier. Full-time collegiate interns and urban scholars. In addition, we had 2 high school students through the Step Up Right Track program. They're not here today, but they've done great work for us as well. This year, their projects spanned a wide variety of topics and disciplines, as they do every year. Some examples of the work this summer included inspecting a local dentist clinics for amalgam recovery systems, which keep mercury out of our wastewater and ultimately out of our rivers. One intern helped perform IT infrastructure transition activities that will enable the newly acquired Rogers wastewater treatment plant to connect to our system. Another one conducted a solid waste management review for MCS facilities, which will help us improve our sustainability practices and reduce waste. Another one mapped out the metro area's water supply interconnections between communities, which I thought was very interesting. Those are just a few of the projects that they worked on. So we're very impressed with the knowledge, ambition, and curiosity that our interns demonstrated throughout the summer. So right now, they're all sitting here in the first 2.5 rows. We'll invite them up one by one, and they'll give a really short introduction to themselves, their project, and what value they found from the project work they did this summer. So we'll start.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Allenshaw, recently graduated from the University of Minnesota with a degree in biology, society, and environment. This summer, I've worked on small projects, what I consider small assignments that my unit can really get to. One example would be writing an advanced WAM training for new operators and service workers that were coming in. One value that I would take from this experience is this is my first internship opportunity. This is my first time getting into the professional field. So I could take that and the hard work that I've put into the small assignments that I've worked on into my next field in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Maria Camila Merino Franco. I go to the University of Minnesota and I study environmental and ecological engineering. This summer, I worked with the research and development department, and my project was evaluating a fluorometer that would kind of simplify dye testing procedures. And this internship was great because it gave me real world, like a very applicable experience. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Teresa Passi. I'm studying environmental engineering at Michigan Technological University. This summer, I worked at the R&D department and with the lab at Metropolitan. and my project was looking at the chlorine disinfection there and trying to figure out what the factors were causing the different spikes in variability in fecal and bleach doses there. So from this, I learned a lot about wastewater treatment plants, and then also um, doing experiments, and then how to communicate the results from it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Robin. I go to school at Michigan Tech and study environmental engineering. This summer I was in water quality and the rivers and streams programs doing monitoring, and I also had a project researching ways to prioritize streams into a priority stream list. And learning about streams and rivers and the really cool stuff that goes on in them was my favorite part of the summer.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Walter Atkins. I graduated from the University of Minnesota with a degree in environmental engineering. I worked with Steve Balog in the R&D department this year, and we developed 4 different pretreatment processes that, if implemented, could reduce the total phosphorus in the effluent of the Metro plant by 15 to 20%.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Tasha Spencer. I am going to be a senior at the University of Minnesota, studying environmental engineering. I worked at R&D in Metro this summer. I worked on a novel phosphate monitor that measures phosphate uptake and release every 15 minutes rather than once a day. And I also looked at Blue Lake's potential causes for phosphate upset. And I really learned that what I'm learning in school is awesome, but knowing that in the actual working environment, it's still what I want to do, and I love it, passionate about it, and that's been great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon.
Members. My name is Sarah Gong. I attend the Carlson School of Management. I'm double majoring in Human Resources, Industrial Relations, and Public and Nonprofit Management. This summer, because I was a business intern as opposed to a research development intern, I had several little projects to work on, and these included doing outreach events and creating job postings and flyers for ES jobs. I also worked closely with community development, and I found a lot of connections between the 2 departments that are very important. I learned the value of going beyond networking and establishing and building genuine relationships instead. It has helped me turn equity into more than just a buzzword and into an action.
Love it. Thank you. Greetings.
Mr. Chair and the committee members, my name is Mina, and I just graduated from the University of Minnesota with a degree in chemistry. This summer, I worked with the Water Supply Planning Unit, working to build and develop a base of technical information needed to support communities in making sound water supply decisions. I focused on analyzing large volume water user data from the metropolitan area, as well as analyzing the different methods communities use to project their future water needs. And this internship has been an invaluable experience in developing my technical skills, as well as providing me with great networking opportunities, and as well as professional and leadership development.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Juana Perez Mandujano. I am a 3rd-year engineering student at Warburg College. This summer, I was an intern at Seneca Wastewater Treatment Plant, where I work with the project management team with all the renovation that is going on at Seneca. I created the asset management plan for the aeration and the blower system, which is helpful for operators because it has all the information that they're required to be able to perform the proper tasks of the new equipment. Through this internship, I was able to learn and explore other career paths and I decided that I want to do graduate school and pursue a master's degree in environmental engineering. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Louise Mullen. I worked in water resources over at the Metro plant this summer, more specifically in the lakes department. I was 2 days a week, I was lake monitoring on 5 lakes in the regional area. I also did a project on updating the grading curve of how we grade the lakes in the Metro region. I really valued this experience this summer. I also forgot to say that I'm going to be a senior at McAllister.
Great.
I am studying theology and American studies, and I really valued this internship. It's my first internship that I've ever done, and I think I'm still trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like, and what I want to do in the future. And I know that this is one more thing that I can add to that list to help me figure that out. So thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Henry McCarthy. I recently graduated from McAllister College studying geography, as well as environmental science and data science. This summer I worked largely on compiling information about water supply infrastructure and working on visualizing that as well. And I think that's been a really special experience for me. It's helped me learn more about the connections between infrastructure and development, and I think that they really go hand in hand. Thanks.
Absolutely. Greetings.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. I attend Wisconsin Indian Head Technical College in New Richmond, and I am studying automation. And this summer, I was working on the IT infrastructure for the newly acquired Rogers wastewater treatment plant. And through this internship, I found an opportunity to use my knowledge from school and use it for real-world skills that I need in this field of work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Look at his name.
Oh, yeah. Could you state your name?
My name is Kyle Kennedy.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Mike Milner. I'm a master's student at the University of Minnesota studying sustainability and public policy. This summer I worked with the sustainability unit, focusing on updating the solid waste management plan and identifying opportunities to increase efficiency and reduce costs in our solid waste management. This was a really excellent opportunity to work with the public utility and to get experience increasing sustainability within a local government setting. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. Chair, committee members. My name is Chad Hildebrandt. I currently go to North Hennepin Community College. My project this summer was I conducted lift station inspections and confined space evaluations all around the metro. It was very valuable for me because I got the opportunity to spearhead it and reorganize, as well as coordinate interdepartmentally to bring the most value, sustainability, accessibility to my results. So I think these are skills that I'll be able to take in with me into the future, as well as just a general understanding of critical departments like safety departments. So thank you for the opportunity.
What is a confined space evaluation?
So confined space evaluation is a 6-space.
You got your PowerPoint all ready? Let's go.
Yeah, there's 3 minor things, or 3 major things that make a confined space. Pretty much, if you can't get in or out easily, if you can enter it, and if it's not meant for continued human occupancy, that's what confined space is. So it's important for all departments and all workers to be on the same page to what that is and where they are. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Alejandro de Morris Figueroa. I graduated recently from the Metropolitan University of Puerto Rico, and I majored in environmental engineering. This summer, I worked with the amalgam separator project, reduction of mercury into our wastewater streams, where I went to different dental clinics just to make sure that they're up their best management practices and how they're utilizing amalgam separators and coordinating with us. And what I really honestly learned about this time in my internship is that they're honestly like communication skills with them and just how to interpret the data and just inspections in general would help a lot in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. That concludes. Every intern is here today, which is great. Before we applaud for them, I'd like to thank the intern advisory team. Some of them are in the audience for all the work they do, the mentors, and the managers of these interns, because without all those people, this wouldn't be happening. And then can we give the interns a round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there's 16 and a half of you. I certainly hope that we have 16 and a half job openings, because holy cow, you folks, very impressive on the things that you've been working on. And actually the things that you've been working on this summer are the exact same things that this committee has been working on. Very common themes around IT infrastructure and chlorine and mercury and clean water, clean rivers, clean streams, clean lakes, making sure that our infrastructure is up to speed. So, and communicating the results in a way that the general public can understand. All of these things are super critical for this organization and for our region, and I just can't thank you enough for dedicating your time. And I'm glad, I was thrilled to hear that this is your first, for some of you, this was your first internship. That's exciting, and exciting to see how you are hearing what's being said in the classroom and then kind of matching it up to what you're observing out here in the wider world. So congratulations again, and keep up the good work. All right, let's give them another round of applause. All right, that takes us to the next item on our agenda. Mr. Colvin, tough act to follow. We've got the Minneapolis Interceptor Study and St. Paul Demonstration Project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to my fellow alumni from Michigan Tech.
Go Tigers.
Huskies.
Huskies, there you go. Okay.
It's not many of us, so it's always kind of nice to see when they do show up. So, yes, this informational item is to review with you two studies that pertain to local community partnerships in the area of I&I mitigation. As you know, I'm Kyle Colvin. I'm the manager of the Engineering Programs Group. And here with me to present is Marcus Bush. He's a principal engineer in our group, and he is the project manager for both of these projects. Last month at the Committee of the Whole meeting, we presented, myself, Marcus Bush, and Janine Clancy, provided a presentation to the committee that consisted of an outline of the Council's I&I program. And during that presentation, we did identify these two projects. These two projects were approved by the Council through two consecutive action items in July of 2018. Again, it represents projects where we are partnering with local communities on projects to better understand how wastewater flows are affected by rainfall and the effectiveness of eliminating excess I&I from within the privately owned wastewater collection system. The first project, the St. Paul Demonstration Project, is funded by a $500,000 council grant using levy funds. The project will determine the amount of I&I that can be reduced by repairing private property service laterals from both homes and businesses. The goal of the 3-year study is to produce information that will be useful to all regional communities to address I&I, including a cost effectiveness of this strategy. The second project is the Minneapolis Interceptor project. It is a 5-year project that involves flow monitoring and then hydraulic modeling of the system within Minneapolis. It will consider flows that are being generated within Minneapolis and those flows that are being conveyed through Minneapolis from upstream communities. It's a $6 million project, and it is funded through the Environmental Services Capital Program. The main objective of this project is to collect system flow data in Minneapolis and to develop a hydraulic model of the system to identify future system limitations and develop long-term capital plans where system improvements are required. To keep our system working well and to keep costs associated with wastewater service down, residents, communities, and the Metropolitan Council regional system has been reducing I&I for many years. Inflow and infiltration is groundwater, as you know, that enters the wastewater collection system, and as a result, once it enters the system, it needlessly needs to be treated at one of our treatment plants. Reducing I&I entering the system costs less than trying to convey and treat clear water after it enters the system. Stormwater and groundwater can enter the wastewater system through many ways, and it takes a combined effort from all those involved to own and operate systems. Recognizing the need to continue progress in addressing excess I&I within the system, the Council convened a third I&I task force to review the existing I&I program and make recommendations for moving forward. This 2016 task force represented communities from across the region, and there was a collection of communities that represented small communities, large communities, communities scattered geographically across the region, and it included representatives in the public works, finance, engineering, and administration areas of those communities. The task force recommendations, first of all, affirmed a regional approach to mitigate excess I&I at their source versus building additional capacity to store, convey, and treat excess I&I. Support efforts, it also included a recommendation to support efforts to secure funding for public and private I&I mitigation projects, including state bond and clean water legacy funds, and to consider the provision of financial assistance through regional sources, such as a portion of the regional wastewater fee, to aid communities and private property I&I. It also included the design and implement, a recommendation to design and implement a private property I&I mitigation demonstration project, which is what we're here to go over, describe with you today, and would provide an opportunity to measure the impact of wastewater base flows and peak flows. Key to the recommendations of the 2016 task force is that private service laterals, that pipe that's between the home or the business and the connection to the street, represents, and that I&I coming into that, represents an unquantified and unaddressed share of the total I&I in the system. It is estimated that up to 80% of the I&I enters the system through these private property sources. And yet, only 15% to date has been invested in these areas of the system.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And Chair and members of the council, I also want to bring up that we're going to talk about the St. Paul demonstration grant. We do have a few folks from the city of St. Paul in with us today, and their consultant also came along for the presentation. Just wanted to recognize them for being here today. So thank you for that and for the work. What we did with the St. Paul demonstration grant is we put out a request for proposals last year. St. Paul, after a competitive application process, did provide the best proposal for what we were trying to do with this to best respond to what the ask from the 2016 task force. The goal of the study is to quantify the flow reduction through I&I mitigation, specifically with service lateral repair, detail that cost effectiveness, and then provide technical assistance to other regional communities through that study. what you see here on the right is an image of typically what we're looking for. That peak flow at the top, that's the wastewater flow going up. That would be what happens before doing I&I mitigation. The lower line, the red there, is something that we would hope to see after that mitigation. What we're trying to do is find out how much of a reduction we can expect from removing that I&I source from a small area in the community. And by keeping that into a small area, we can identify those sources, quantify the costs, quantify how much flow reduction there is, and then evaluate that, and again, report those findings out for the other communities to use. To date, in 2019, the City of St. Paul and their consultant have done quite a bit of work, I would say, mostly developing the strategy to get to the completion of this project. Again, this is about a 3-year study. They've implemented the public outreach of the study and the benefits to the property owners. Part of that was they did use some of the outreach tools created by ES, again, another ask of the 2016 task force. The flow meters are now installed, and they've begun inspection of the service lines. Once all those are inspected, they can start developing the plan for where the repairs would be done. The schedule, we again did do the award and notice to proceed late 2018. Along the way, we've set some milestones to make sure that we're hitting all of them as we go. This fall, we should expect an annual report and each year forward until the end of the study in 2021. Our role is also to work with the community and use some of the tools we understand, provide that assistance to them to keep everything moving forward. The other study we're working on right now is the Minneapolis Interceptor Study. This study is, we work closely with the City of Minneapolis and their staff to identify what needs to be done. Again, last year we did get the authorization to move forward on this one. Overall, we're identifying the existing and future system limitations, and by that we mean the capacity in our interceptor system, our wastewater pipes, how that's going to be affected by growth or storm events as we see going forward in time. To do that, we are developing a hydraulic model to meet the customer level of service that we've set in ES, mainly focusing around asset renewal, reliability, and I&I mitigation, all of which are done to minimize the risk of overflows out of our system. So to date, or what we're working on, is identifying those areas of high inflow and infiltration, identifying areas of limited sewer capacity. From what we understand, developing strategies to lower risks of that sewer overflow, and then also prioritizing and informing the decisions for our future, mostly in our capital program. Specific to Minneapolis, again, we know that they did do quite a bit of work. Starting in 2003, they did a rain leader disconnection program. If you're not familiar, back when a lot of these older systems were made, the rain leader from the gutters and the roof went right down into the sanitary system. Clearly, that's going to bring in a lot of inflow during a rainfall event. They did a lot of work to remove those throughout the city. Often you'd see rain barrels going up and such. Through some studies we've done, we've learned that over a 10-year period, they reduced their peak I&I flows by about 75%, which is quite significant. And then in 2018, we started working on this joint study, and part of that is to identify the remaining areas of I&I. What we're doing right now in 2019 is we have about 41 flow meters in the ground right now measuring wastewater flow throughout the city. We have 13 rain gauges, and all of those are supplementing the existing metering system that our regional maintenance facility operates and maintains. And the reason for that is that we get these really complicated models such as this, and I just wanted to put up a screenshot of that. Basically what you see here is a computational model inside the computer that's going to have the same geometry, the same look of our system, and we can add those wastewater flows from that recording that we're recording to say, hey, what happens when we have growth? What happens when we have these different rainfall events? And to be able to predict the future of what our wastewater, how our system would respond to all those. So we'll be forecasting the flows for population, weather, construction, whatever we need to do. It's basically a computational version of the actual flows in the system. And again, this is to support our long-term planning, at least in this part of the system, under this scope. From here forward, it's kind of complicated map up there, but generally we have some milestones along the way. In general, we have identified what we don't know. We spend a year studying that, working with the hydraulic model to analyze what's left, find out what else we don't know, and keep moving forward. And along the way is informing our capital programs around what projects may need to start getting on the pipeline and what we need to be moving forward with. And with that, I think we've covered most everything from those two items, and we can open up for questions, Mr. Chair.
Questions for? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. For the St. Paul project, so the map shows the west side. Is this only on the west side, or is this citywide?
Mr. Chair, members of the council, this project the area was selected by the city for what would be the best benefit, where they thought they could do the work and focus that work into a small area. By keeping it narrow in scope, we have a better opportunity to look at what investments were in that small area and what results came out of that same area. So it's pretty particular that they picked an area where they thought they could get good results and where they could get the work done in time.
Follow up?
Yeah, follow up, or I have a few questions. So I'm interested to know what kind of communications go out from either the Met Council or the city or the county and related to this, right? And the reason why I ask is because so I bought my house in 2003, and I remember, I received lots of mailings from, say, Ramsey County about where to take my yard waste. Pay really close attention to those mailings. And I don't remember receiving any kind of communications from any entity, really, not to, say, use a sump pump to take water in my basement and put it in the floor drain. And I'm guilty, right? So don't do that anymore, right? But it wasn't until recently that I learned that was like a no-no. And then it wasn't until, and I shared this a few weeks ago, but it wasn't until recently that I realized. So when the first time I saw my neighbor who had the sump pump connected to the, basically pushing the water out in the sidewalk, I thought, that can't be right. They must be breaking some law or rule, and it turns out that's the right thing to do. And so I'm just really curious to know how we can better communicate what homeowners should do about this.
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Fredson. The local municipality usually will have programs to educate homeowners in terms of sump pump and foundation drain connections. They're the primary system. The sanitary system is their primary responsibility. So many communities will have information packets to new homeowners that will include these type of informational packets or information regarding sump pumps. Also, some communities will have a point of sale program that will require some kind of an inspection before the transfer of the ownership of the property as well. So again, that responsibility for informing the resident primarily rests with the community. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the council, and historically it really has rested with the communities. So in the 2016 task force, we were asked to create some outreach pieces. We recognize that by pooling the resources at a regional level, like we do for most of the things here, we would be able to turn out better materials, have consistent messaging across the region, but allow each community to use those tools as they see fit. So a community that is concerned more about sump pumps, there's materials in there on our website that we've distributed where they can say, hey, we really need to talk to our residents about sump pumps. Other communities, it might be more important to talk about the service lines, and we have those resources as well. Those have been out on the web for about a year now. We have had some pretty decent traffic on that. I think we did talk about this at the Committee of the Whole recently. I think one of the biggest pushes we have is as we get more information like this, like the St. Paul demonstration project, other communities are asking for that as well so that they can go to homeowners and say, hey, see, here it is. Here's the proof that if we do this, we're better off as a city to work on the private side than dollar per dollar on the public side. So it's a long program. I often say that I&I is something we've spent 150 years getting ourselves into with the creation of our sewers in the Western world, and taking 20 years to get out of it is something that we should be pretty happy about. But we got to keep making those small steps along the way.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions? So on that St. Paul project, the flow meters are installed, the lines are being inspected, and the lines, are those the service lateral lines or the service lines? And then, okay, so if they're inspected and there's something wrong with them, they're leaking, it's up to that homeowner or business owner to take care of it. Is there any sort of financial assistance to aid that homeowner or business owner?
Yeah, I'm Chair and members of the council. I keep looking over my shoulder at the city of St. Paul, but I'm pretty sure the way we've structured this, at least in scope and the discussions we've had at this point, is part of the grant funding is to do this whole project entirely, right? So as the city goes and looks in this project area and finds issues that need to be repaired, they're able to use part of the funding to make that repair happen. So the study itself is not intended to be a burden on the homeowners that would be doing that work. There may be a cost share, especially if the city were to be doing this long term. But within the scope of the study, the intent is to reduce the burden on the homeowners there.
And I think you said this, but where in St. Paul?
The scope of the study was kind of the West Side Flats area.
Yeah, it's in the area that the city has identified as the West Side Flats, a development area.
So, Mr. Chair, members of council, that would be across the river from here, south side of the river. We do have some major infrastructure that crosses the river to bring flows from the south to the north there. So it also does help with some of our other studies that we're going on.
Great, thank you. Yep. Sure.
Mr. Chair, just a point of personal privilege, right? West side is west side because it's west of the Mississippi River. It is south of the southern part of the city of St. Paul.
Right.
I know both of us probably have heard that question many times. Like, how did this get named this way? Yeah. Yep. Very good. Very informative. Thank you very much. Sounds like a great project.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
And that takes us to the general manager's report.
Mr. Chair and committee members, I'm going to revisit my report from the last meeting and start with a picture's worth 1,000 words. So yesterday, NACWA posted the awards pictures. And I just want to say that we were the top utility in regard to how many people it took to hold all these certificates we got that night. So if you go to their website and scroll through, it's like we get to our picture and you go, oh my gosh. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank staff and everybody, including yourselves, that help us be a high-performing organization. And as you can tell from the energy of the interns, they've all had a great experience. And I think it's pretty cool working for an organization like ours, and that gives us energy to keep pushing on and doing better stuff. So thank you for that. And staff, thank you as well.
Well, part of the internship, at least one or two of them, was about communications. So I hope to see this picture in the next newsletter, right, for the Met Council, and spread it far and wide, put it on the website. People should know.
It's awesome. That's it for tonight.
All right. We do need a motion to adjourn. Am I right about that? Is there a motion to adjourn?
You don't need one.
We
You
don't
can
need
just
one?
declare that we're adjourned if you want.
We are adjourned.